to shake the matrix, expand our minds, and make us all think. How's everyone doing this grand, beautiful morning? Here we are. Doesn't matter what time it is that you come across this. Truth is that you're ready to hear this. Time is perfect because you were aligned for this. You designed this. It's nothing to do with me at all. Nope. You did it. Did it all. Because we are all one unique puzzle pieces, part of the ultimate puzzle of the cosmos. And so, it all connects for a reason. So first of all, let's just arrive. Let's take a deep breath. Close our eyes and hold that breath. And let it go. Let your shoulders relax. Take another breath. And hold. And let it go. Let that jaw relax. Unclench. Let's put our hands on our heart and take a breath and feel our heartbeat and hold that breath. And hold. And let go. Now we just speak to the fallen mindset. We speak to the shadow matrix and we say deactivate. Completely turn off. Now we speak to the original blueprint of our original designs, the divine spark within. And we say, activate fully on, I am that I am. And let us remember. And take a breath. And hold. And let go. Well, here we are. Just take a breath before we begin. Not to relax. To recognize we've arrived. We're here. Because you know what we're going to talk about this morning is that it's actually not comfortable. Truth is, it is real truth. And real truth does not decorate the ego very well. Real truth dismantles it. You know, spiritual awakening is not what you think it is. You know, most people believe awakening is gaining something more. Knowledge, more peace, more power, more clarity. But awakening is not a gain. It is a loss. It is a loss of everything you thought was you. Yeah. And there is a stage on this path that is very seductive even. Many people stop right there. See, this is a stage where you begin to learn spiritual language. You start talking about consciousness and energy and presence and ego and illusions. You might even, be teaching others it. And from the outside, it looks like awakening. But internally, nothing fundamental has changed. You know, it's a learned new identity is what it is, just another mask. Carl Jung called it inflation. This is when ego identifies with something divided, truth, God, enlightenment, but does not actually transform. So now instead of saying, I am better than others, it says, I am more conscious than others. And instead of competing materially, it competes spiritually. Same structure, different costume. But let me give you a real example. Imagine someone who used to seek validation through success, money, status, recognition. They begin their spiritual journey. They drop the old identity, but instead of dissolving the need for validation, they replace it with now the need to be seen as awakened. And now they need to be the one who knows. And now they subtly judge others who are asleep. You see, that's not awakening. That's ego wearing light. And this is dangerous because it feels real at first. It sounds real. And the person themselves believes it's even real. But nothing has been surrendered, only rebranded. And I'm sure some of us, we've all been there at first. But let me tell you about true awakening. See, true awakening doesn't feel like elevation. It feels like collapse. Like when the butterfly, where the caterpillar becomes the chrysalis before it becomes the butterfly. Feels like collapse. That goo isn't easy to become. Feels like something inside of you can no longer participate in the life you once lived. You can't even hang out with the same type of people. But not because you're better. Because you've seen through it. The Gnostics called it remembrance of the pleroma. It's the fullness. It's not a place you go, but their original state of being before fragmentation is remembering the truth of our origins, even for just a moment. And it cannot fully return unconscious, to unconscious living. It just can't. Something has to be seen. There's these with these egos. And once you've seen truth, you cannot be unseen. Let me ground this from science for a moment. There is a system in the brain called the default mode network. And the system is responsible for your sense of self, your identity, your story, your past, and your future. And see, when people go through deep transformation, whether through meditation, trauma processing, or even certain psychedelic states, this network begins to quiet. And when it quiets, the sense of me begins to dissolve. This is often reported as beautiful, but also terrifying. Because the brain interprets it as death. It does. Yeah, see, I didn't need to say anything to that comment. My fans will. It doesn't matter, does it? We're not even talking about what our looks or appearance or whatever. And the crazy thing is, the moment we speak a negative thing directive towards someone, especially like me, remember what I am, people. Reflector by genetic design. Even science puts that down. I make a completely different aura, completely different energy. I make negative ions. So what that means is that what someone sees in myself, it's how they see themselves. So I'm really sad that you see yourself that way, because I would never see anyone like that. See, I see you're like a unique puzzle piece, a part of the ultimate puzzle, the cosmos. So as the cosmos, you're a part of myself. Just you haven't seen it yet. And so you're lost in a divided, fragmented world. And so I really hope that you could find yourself and see the truth of yourself in the mirror. Because there's this time where there comes this thing, a shift, a change. And it's not a physical death, but it's an identity death. So when awakening begins to happen, you may feel lost at first. You may feel like you don't know who you are anymore. But you may feel like disconnected from your old life even. And this is not failure. This is the new beginning. But here is where the path splits. Is one path is the ego. It's stepping back in and saying, let me rebuild a better version of you. And it creates a spiritual identity, a controlled identity, a safe identity, and you stay there. But the other path, is where you don't rebuild it all. And you let it all fall apart. You let it all fall apart. you let go. You're like goo. You become nothing, dust in the wind. Like for me, it took going into the desert absolutely away from all things. And this is where awakening becomes real. This is where the kingdom, where even Yeshua said the kingdom is within. And that divine spark that has shined so bright begins to be seen. The pleroma. Because real awakening begins with the brutal realization, I have been the source of my own suffering. I saw myself separated from the source of existence of all life. Now listen carefully, this is not blame. This is clarity. And psychology calls this shadow integration. And instead of projecting pain outward onto people, onto circumstances, onto the world, you turn inward and you begin to see. If I've been able to communicate with the source of all existence, I was face to face with the existence. And still to this day, every day. You see the patterns in existence. You see the reactions. You see how you avoid truth. And you see how you protected identity. You see how you created narratives to stay comfortable. And it hurts. So let me give you a story. See, there was this man who spent years saying, people always leave me. That was it was in his story. He believed that people always leave me. That was his identity even. Okay? That guy, what did the desert do to me? Absolutely nothing. It transformed my life. It made me see that nothing in this existence really matters. And that the entire world and everything that truly matters is our internal kingdom. And if you can't get peace in that, then nothing else matters. It's just a show. That's what I learned. That's a question you got to figure out yourself, of the fact that you haven't figured out how to communicate with creation itself. I think Yeshua and everything have always said the kingdom is within. You must go internally. There is nothing external to go discover. So maybe stop paying attention to the external world and spend some time internally and see what happens. So anyways, let me get back to the story. This guy had this internal belief system that everyone leaves him. That was his story, and that was his identity. He believed that he was a victim of abandonment. He was rejected. But when he began doing real inner work, he saw something that he had never allowed himself to see. Every time someone got close, he would shut down. He would become distant. He would create conflict. He would test them until they left. And in that moment, his entire identity cracked. Because he could no longer say, this is happening to me. See, how many of us have been through that? I've been through that. I was exactly that. That's what the desert showed me. Desert showed me I had no fingers to point. I had no one to blame. I was it. Solitary. Yeah, solitude. I love solitude, brother. You know, and in that moment, this guy's entire world cracked because he could no longer say, this is happening to me. He faced it. I am participating in this. See, that moment takes you from victimhood to victor. Because once you realize you're the one who has the reins the whole time, that painful, honest, undeniable scene. See, that's closer to awakening than any spiritual concept. Because awakening is not about feeling good. It is about seeing clearly. Nature reflects this perfectly. Think about a forest fire. From the outside, it looks like destruction. Everything is burning, everything is collapsing. But what is actually happening? The dead layers are being cleared. I think you're projecting out of fear. See that no matter what happens, it doesn't matter. Because it's the real world's inside, man. The soil is being renewed. Space is being made for real life to grow. See, awakening is that fire, and most people try to put it out. They want awakening without loss. They want truth without discomfort. They want transformation without surrender, but it doesn't work like that. The pleroma, the fullness of divine reality, cannot be entered by the ego. Okay, you can't do it. Because the ego is built on separation. I am this, I am that, I am different, I am better, I am worse. It is always defining itself, comparing itself, protecting itself. I get to protect myself and I feel afraid and da 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 da. But the pleroma is undivided. There is no you to defend there. There is no image to maintain. There is no identity to uphold. So the ego cannot go there. It dissolves there. And this is why true awakening wants nothing to do with performance. I remember when I get lost and didn't know who I was anymore for a good while. It was crazy. Yeah, we do in the moment of it. And we find that divine truth of our original designs, the truth of our beings. See, the awakened one is not trying to appear awakened. They are not trying to convince others. It's not like it's like you're out there to go save somebody, you know. They're not building identity around it either. They're actually becoming simpler, quieter, more honest, real. I mean, let me give you another example. Someone says they're awakened, but they are constantly talking about themselves. What they've realized is what they've achieved and how much they've grown and how others don't understand. That is not awakening. That is identity reinforcement. What is my calling, brother? What did I say yes to? To do exactly what I'm doing right now. To really go through it. Experiencing it in every inch. To know that no matter what, in every inch of my being, that I know exactly this. And then to be the example and walk it and be it and to teach it. Pass it on. Say, hey, we've been in this prison and we've had the keys the whole time, and let's turn them. We're paying attention to the wrong things. We're looking for external identities when it's been an internal journey this whole time. And if we would pay attention, everything in life shows that. Even science, philosophy, psychology, ancient texts, ancient history. The truly awakened person is not interested in being seen that way. If I was, guys, trust me, I could have signed things and sold my soul to the devil and already been way out there already. But I chose no, even in the place where I absolutely had nothing at all and was broken down in the middle of absolutely nowhere in a desert. Now I got a couple of vehicles. I can feel it all over. And I've ignored them at times. And I won't anymore. I protect myself quite well now. I know who I am, know my value, and I know what I will not allow near my fence. So, the truly awakened person is not interested in being seen that way. Because there's no need left to be someone. Now, this doesn't mean that you disappear from life. Obviously, look, I still do life. Here I am. I still have books out and everything. It means you no longer distort life to protect identity, okay? They can admit when they are wrong. No problem. They can see their patterns without collapsing. And they don't need to play victim. And they don't need to control everything. They will let go, no problem. And most importantly, they are not afraid of truth. Because fear comes from something needing to be protected. And when there is nothing left to protect, fear loses its foundation. This is not numbness, this is clarity. And from that outside, this kind of awakening can look like loss. Your relationships may change. Your career may shift. Your interests may fall away because what was built on illusion cannot survive truth. And that can feel like everything is falling apart. But something deeper is happening. Everything false is falling away, and what remains is real. So if you are in a place where you feel like you don't know who you are, if you feel like your life is unraveling, if you feel like what used to matter no longer makes sense, do not rush to rebuild. Stay with it. Because that space, that emptiness, that uncertainty, that is where awakening deepens, not in what you add, but in what you stop pretending to be. Spiritual awakening is not becoming enlightened, it is becoming honest. It is the end of illusion, not the decoration of it. And the moment you stop trying to be awakened, you move closer to what is real. So ask yourself not how awakened am I, but where am I still avoiding truth? That's the real question. If answered honestly, it will take you further than any teaching you ever could. Anything I can even tell you. Period. Please sit with that for a moment. Think about it. It's you. You're the one who's got the key to your freedom. Not me. Not anybody else out there. You. I think I'm going to keep that personal, man. Yeah. All right. Peace and love. We'll see you guys tomorrow.